In 2001, my children and I found ourselves living in Oregon with my ex-husband, a pompous and self-absorbed individual who loved nothing more than reminding me, "I am older than you, therefore I am smarter than you." He worked as an industrial engineer at the time, and while I acknowledged his intelligence, living with him was unbearable. After enduring his behavior for 5 months, my kids and I decided to leave him behind in late April 2001 and returned to my home state of Illinois. Little did I know, my life was about to take an unexpected turn. In August 2001, just a few months after parting ways with my ex, I met the man who would become my husband. Our connection was immediate, and by mid-September I discovered I was pregnant. Life seemed to be moving forward positively until October 2002, when I received a court summons for paternity establishment from my ex-husband. The hearing was scheduled for early November, leaving me bewildered and puzzled. On the appointed day, accompanied by my mother, I entered the courtroom. Seated at one table were my mother and I, while my ex-husband and his lawyer sat across from us exchanging smug looks. As the judge entered, the real drama began to unfold. The judge addressed the purpose of the hearing, my ex-husband's request for a DNA test to establish paternity and subsequently claim custody of our child. Then he asked if either party had anything to say. "Yes," my ex-husband spoke up. "I want it known that once my paternity is proven, I intend to seek full custody. She should have never kept our son away from me." I stood up and addressed the judge. "Your Honor, I have no objection to the DNA test, but I must point out that I haven't been in the presence of this man since April 2001. Our son was born in June 2002. Before we waste any more of the court's time, here is my son's birth certificate. I would love to hear how he believes I was pregnant for 14 months for him to be the father." The judge frowned, and my ex-husband's lawyer quickly jumped up and rushed to examine the birth certificate. Meanwhile, my ex-husband continued to insist it proves nothing. "He is my child." The judge, visibly exasperated, facepalmed before declaring that he was dismissing the case. Attempting to calm my ex-husband down, his lawyer intervened, but to no avail. "I am not going to be kept away from my son. I'm taking her to court in Oregon. The judges in Illinois are all stupid jerks." In response, the judge turned around, fixed a stern gaze on my ex-husband, and promptly had him arrested for contempt of court before leaving the room. Ironically, despite knowing our son was born in June, my ex-husband had convinced himself that he was the father. Throughout the hilarious journey back to my house, my mother couldn't contain her laughter. As fate would have it, I never heard from my ex-husband again. If this hadn't happened to me, I would have considered the situation too ludicrous to be true. Approximately 15 years ago, during my time living overseas in a developing country, I'm now residing in the U.S., a memorable incident unfolded. I was accompanied by my friend, whom I'll refer to as Han, as we embarked on a nighttime drive through the bustling city. It was during this ride that Han received an intense phone call from his older brother, whom we shall call Barry. The conversation seemed to leave Han visibly frustrated. In an effort to assist his brother, Han instructed me to drive to the supermarket near his parents' residence, and I promptly complied. Curiosity piqued, I asked Han about the cause of his distress. He revealed that Barry had apparently become entangled in a physical altercation and required our aid. Determined to uncover the truth and lend our support, I suggested we proceed to the supermarket. Along the way, Han contacted a couple of our friends and implored them to join us there, bolstering our assistance. Now I understand how this situation may come across, like a group of troublemakers looking for a fight. However, allow me to provide some context. The community in which I resided at the time was deeply rooted in tribal traditions. It wasn't a matter of instigating conflict, but rather a cultural norm to stand up for and support friends in need. Admittedly, this mindset seems antiquated in today's world, and I've since distanced myself from it, especially since relocating to the U.S. Eventually, we arrived at the bustling supermarket, situated in a vibrant area teeming with traffic. We parked our cars near the entrance and positioned ourselves on the street, awaiting Barry's arrival. When he finally emerged, he was visibly furious, yet remarkably composed and focused. Intrigued by the unfolding events, We inquired about the situation, prompting Barry to recount the details. Evidently, Barry and Han's mother had visited the supermarket to purchase some chicken. She had successfully acquired a sealed container of chicken, which she intended to cook for the day. However, upon opening the container at home, an overpowering stench of rot and decay assaulted her senses. Understandably disgusted, she decided to return to the store, inform the management, and exchange the foul-smelling chicken for a fresh one, considering she was a regular customer there. Now, let me emphasize that I know their mother well. She's not the type to cause a scene or act entitled. On the contrary, she's a gentle, amiable lady in her 60s who treats everyone with kindness. Upon entering the store, she located the store manager and politely explained the situation, discreetly requesting a replacement. Regrettably, the manager responded with utmost rudeness, denying any issues with the chicken, refusing an exchange, and even hurling accusations of dishonesty at her. He demanded she leave the premises immediately. Learning of the manager's insults toward his mother, Han's fury reached its peak. Barry informed us that he intended to confront the manager and express his grievances, and he asked us to be present as a show of support should the situation escalate. Agreeing to his request, we positioned ourselves outside, ready to intervene if needed. Barry entered the store, and we watched with a mix of concern and anticipation through the glass door. The conversation between Barry and the manager grew increasingly heated. Barry confronted the manager, questioning if he was the one who had told his mother to leave, and the manager defiantly admitted to it, even shoving Barry away in a fit of anger. Allow me to provide some context on Barry's character. He had always been somewhat notorious, never one to tolerate mistreatment from anyone. While I didn't necessarily condone his approach, I respected his unwavering determination to stand up for himself and those he cared about. It's important to note that he has since mellowed significantly. Within seconds of Barry entering the store and witnessing the manager's belligerent behavior, Barry's rage got the best of him. We watched as he launched into a physical altercation with the manager, and to our surprise, other employees joined in the fray. Chaos erupted as punches were thrown from every direction. Without a second thought, Han, another friend, and I rushed into the store, engaging in the scuffle ourselves. It was a chaotic mess. My memory of the event is hazy, but I recall throwing a few punches at the manager before finding myself inexplicably on the ground, disoriented. Miraculously, nobody sustained significant injury during the ordeal, although we clearly had the upper hand. The aftermath was a scene of utter destruction. Glass shattered, shelves toppled, and product displays lay in ruins. I vividly remember M&M candies scattered across the floor, a symbol of the havoc wrought. We knew immediately that we were in deep trouble. We had essentially vandalized an entire store and physically assaulted its staff. Reluctantly, we exited the store and positioned ourselves in front, hurling expletives and insults at the staff who remained inside. They remained sheltered within the store, knowing that the law would likely favor them within their own property. Now, let me shed light on the absurdity of the laws in that country. As an example, if you were physically assaulted and wished to press charges, you would need to obtain a doctor's note documenting your injury, then visit a police station to initiate the legal proceeding. Strangely enough, the person who assaulted you could reciprocate by pressing charges against you, regardless of their own injuries. If both parties filed charges, both would be imprisoned pending trial, unless bail was granted. It's worth mentioning that acquiring a forged doctor's note in that country was easier than purchasing a tub of sour cream, a shocking reality. Considering this, we understood the urgency of our situation and realized we needed to act swiftly. We made our way to the police station before the supermarket staff arrived and filed a complaint against them. Approximately 15 minutes later, they arrived to do the same. The obnoxious manager and another individual involved in the fight accompanied them. At the police station, I was taken aback by the stark contrast in treatment between us and the supermarket staff. The officers seemed surprisingly friendly towards us while treating the staff members poorly. It left me questioning the situation. Shouldn't we be the ones in handcuffs right now? Unbeknownst to me, something significant had occurred after the fight had ended. While we were outside, venting our frustrations and exchanging heated words, Barry had vanished momentarily. He eventually rejoined us at the police station, but we were unaware of what he had been up to. It turned out that as Barry was leaving the store following the altercation, he had shouted, "My name is Barry X, last name, and I'm not done with you." Coincidentally, a passing police patrol overheard Barry's impassioned outburst and stopped to investigate. Remarkably, one of the officers happened to be a distant cousin of Barry's, an unexpected encounter in our small country. The officer recognized Barry's name amidst the commotion and pulled him aside for a conversation. Barry proceeded to narrate the entire story, detailing how the supermarket had insulted his mother after selling her spoiled chicken and refusing to accept responsibility. To our surprise, the officer also served as an on-duty health and safety inspector. Personally affected by the account, he assured Barry that he would address the matter. Returning to the police station, it became evident that the authorities were favoring our side of the story now that both parties had filed charges. The supermarket staff was promptly confined to a cell while we found ourselves comfortably seated on a couch, sipping coffee. Barry continued to voice his disdain towards the manager. Eventually, an agreement was reached to drop all charges, and we went our separate ways. However, the true revenge was yet to come. The following day, Barry's cousin, the officer and health inspector, visited the supermarket for an inspection, and what they discovered was utterly shocking. Yes, you guessed it right. They found an abundance of improperly stored and completely inedible meat, posing significant health risks. Spoiled dairy products and an abundance of expired items were also uncovered. Shockingly, it was revealed that the store owner had instructed the staff to unplug the fridges and freezers at night to save on electricity costs. The owner had knowingly been selling rotten meat, prioritizing profit over customer safety. As a result of these alarming findings, the store was immediately shut down pending further investigation. The health ministry became involved, imposing a substantial fine that financially crippled the supermarket. Unable to recover from the financial blow, the store remained closed indefinitely and never reopened. It is important to note that the favoritism we experienced at the police station stemmed from Barry's cousin, who had requested leniency for us. This incident underscores the notion that the rule of law is not as significant in that particular country as demonstrated by the events that unfolded. Please note that I have omitted the name of the country as per your request to maintain anonymity. All I can disclose is that the incident occurred in the Middle East. Thank you for understanding. I have a coworker who constantly hounded me yesterday for wearing a jacket in our freezing cold store. She went on and on about the uniform policy and insisted that I remove my jacket. She emphasized the significance of adhering to company policies. Maintaining a composed demeanor, I smiled and replied, "Yes, I agree that following policies is important." I then took it upon myself to explore the appropriate channels to ensure that she is well informed about our company's policies. Specifically, I discovered that our uniform policy states that her attire is outdated and she is required to wear a protective face covering at all times while working, something she consistently neglects. Over the past couple of months, we have encountered several COVID cases within our workplace, and numerous customers have walked out or refused to wear masks due to her non-compliance. Interestingly, our boss explicitly mentioned that we are allowed to wear coats as long as our name tags are visible and our uniform shirts are showing. Considering how cold it gets in our store, this policy is only reasonable. However, if my coworker feels compelled to enforce a relatively minor policy, then I feel compelled to ensure she abides by a major policy. Consequently, I have reported the matter to OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and they will assist in ensuring her compliance with safety policies. It is crucial to follow all store policies as she fervently believes